All right, everyone. Hello and welcome in. My name is Alexis Miller, and I'll be your yoga instructor today. So, welcome to the final installment of the Throat Chakra series here on Wild Blue Yonder Media. This is part of the full body awakening series where we're focusing on each of the chakras, kind of waking our bodies up and getting us into these amazing physical forms. So, today we're doing a 30-minute Hatha yoga practice that's really focused on opening up that throat chakra space. So, as we get into the practice today, let's keep our mind our boundaries. Notice, where are you ready to extend into postures? Where do you need to modify and come down to the mat? Or perhaps just stay in that center posture. Also, keep in mind, I don't often cue water. So, if and when you feel thirsty, of course, please feel free to step off the mat, grab that drink, and join us whenever you feel ready. So, let's go ahead and come into a comfortable seat. Your legs can be crossed, they can also be straight out in front of you. We'll wiggle back and forth to root into the sits bones, and then we'll sit up nice and tall. Let's inhale as we draw the shoulders forward and up, and then exhale as we drop them back and down. One more time. Inhale, the shoulders come forward and up, and then exhale, they drop back and down. Find a comfortable spot for your hands, whether on your knees, palms up or down, or in your lap. You're welcome to close the eyes if you'd like, or just find an unmoving point and soften your gaze here today. In the yogic tradition, there are 7 chakras known as the organizing centers for reception, assimilation, and transmission of life energies. The throat chakra is where we come to refine our awareness enough to perceive the subtle field of vibrations on the ethereal plane. This plane is a vibrating field that functions as both the cause and the result of our thoughts, emotions, and physical states. When we acknowledge and feel into the subtle vibrations around us, we detach even further from the ego and its perceptions created in the mind. Doing so brings us even deeper into experiencing our true nature. By feeling into the subtle vibrations around us and coming into a deeper experience of our true nature, we also connect more deeply with those around us. We begin to see and truly understand that the concept of separation is created by the ego. We become more attuned to the experiences of others and seek to help alleviate their suffering in the midst of alleviating our own suffering. I invite you to use today's practice as inquiry. Can you feel into the subtle field of vibrations from which your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations arise? What will allow you to receive these cognitions as messengers so you can start to expand your consciousness? So, settling in, taking a deep inhale through the nose, filling the belly, lungs, and chest with air. And then slowly exhaling that breath back out. Take another deep inhale, fill your belly, lungs, and chest with air. And then slowly exhale that breath back out. Take another deep inhale as you feel the belly expanding outward like a balloon. And then exhale as you draw that belly button in toward your spine. Inhale as you feel the torso expand, your collarbones gently lift. And then exhale as you feel your shoulders release down and away from your ears. Inhaling the air in your nose, down your throat, filling the lungs. And then exhale as you feel that air move out of the lungs, up the throat, and out the nose. Continue to breathe here intentionally, inhaling and exhaling. Perhaps really tuning into the sensation of the air moving up and down your throat. And if that's not comfortable for you, tune into another aspect of the breath here. Now, as you sit and breathe, if your mind wanders off on a thinking adventure, that is okay. Notice the moment that you've gone away from the breath and then come back to the breath here. Come back to focusing on the inhales and exhales. Now, if it feels right for you, perhaps incorporating a mantra to help you stay grounded and focused on the breath. Inhale, I listen deeply. Exhale for vibrations of life. Inhale, I listen deeply. Exhale for vibrations of life. Remaining here with your breath in whatever way best supports you for just a few more moments today. Take another deep inhale here as you set an intention or a purpose for your practice today, which really could be anything at all, but it often answers the question, why did I get on my mat? Take a nice deep inhale here as you feel that intention with your heart and mind. And then exhale that breath out, set the intention off to the side, knowing we'll return to it toward the end of our practice. Great work here. So coming into that comfortable seat, we're going to do some neck stretches here, which requires a nice long spine in a seated position. If you're not on a block, I invite you to grab a block, bring it onto the low side here, and sit on top of it, kind of like it's a hamburger patty. If you don't have a block, a bolster or a firm pillow will be great. Or if you're in a chair, you can come to the edge of your chair, so it's a bit easier to sit up nice and tall here. We're going to take our arms and either clasp the fingers behind your back, or if you're able, grab the elbows and the forearms kind of like this, but behind the back, okay? So we're going to sit up nice and tall on the inhale, and then on the exhale, just tip the left ear over to the left shoulder. So you'll notice here with the hands clasped behind the back, we're immediately deepening that stretch in through that right shoulder there, feeling that pull down into the bicep, into the tricep space, maybe all the way down to the fingertips and into that shoulder blade perhaps. We don't need to really crank our neck, just allow the neck to hinge until it no longer can move. And again, we're not leaning over to the side, but we're staying up tall and only hinging from that neck joint. So let's take a couple deep breaths here. Eyes can be open or closed. And then inhale, come into center. Now, with our arms, we're going to go ahead and switch however we're grasping. So, however you grasp is probably the way that feels most comfortable, and we'll switch that around. So, probably feel a little uncomfortable, a little kind of awkward, might take a little bit of adjustment. And again, if your hands were just interlaced, just switch the interlacing so the opposite thumb is on top this time. Okay. So sitting up nice and tall here, and then exhale, drop that right ear over to the right shoulder. So right away, tuning into sensation in the side neck on the left side, noticing that stretch down into the shoulder, bicep, tricep, maybe into the shoulder blade as well. I know for me, this stretch is going up into the back of the head, shows you I'm a little tight here today, staying rooted through the sits bones. And again, avoiding the tendency to lean to the side, but instead just sitting up tall and hinging from the neck. Again, eyes can be open or closed, and we'll take a couple of deep breaths here. And then inhale, let's go ahead and return to center. Great job. Now, bringing those hands in front, we are going to interlace the fingers this time, but behind our backs. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring our hands over to the right side. So it's kind of just sitting on top of our right hip here. Notice I arched out my back, but then I rooted into the sits bones, lengthened through the spine again. My right elbow sticking out like a chicken wing here. I'm going to turn my nose over to the left and then drop my nose down to the armpit. Holy buckets, we are feeling this stretch right away. I feel it all the way down into the very tips of my right fingers here. If sensation becomes too much, you can always dip that shoulder or that elbow kind of back behind you here, kind of angling it back. When you try to get it parallel to the body or perpendicular to the body, that's really going to deepen the stretch here. So wherever you are, let's take a couple deep breaths together. Great. And then inhale, let's go ahead and return to center here. And we'll move our hands over to the opposite side. So fingers are still interlaced. They're kind of sitting right on top of that left high hip bone here. I'm going to bring that left elbow so it's out like a chicken wing here. And then I'm going to turn my nose over to the right. And then exhale, drop the nose down to the armpit here. Woo, feeling that stretch right away, staying rooted through the sits bones, long through the spine. And again, if you need less sensation, hinging that elbow toward the back of the room, back of the mat here. When you keep it sticking directly out, perpendicular or parallel with the body, you're really going to feel that stretch all the way through the arm. Just what we're going for, but not pushing yourself further than you're ready or what the body calls for. And let's take just a couple deep breaths here. Again, eyes can be open or they can be closed. And then inhale, let's go ahead and return to center. Great work releasing those hands. We're going to go ahead and pop our block off to the side here. I'm going to come into a cross-legged position, but you can have your legs straight out in front of you if that feels better for you. We're going to take just a couple twists here. So inhale, we'll spread our arms wide, bring them up overhead, cast the gaze skyward. And then exhale, twist over to the left, right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the body. Curve your head around into a seated twist. So when we curve that nose around, we're bringing that twist all the way up into the cervical spine. So in the neck space here. So we're really starting to get into the all movement of that throat chakra space. We're really starting to open it up here. In addition to our spine, this is such a good practice to do these twists, the seated side bends we're about to do, and the cat cows that we'll do before you do really anything at all. This helps wake up the spine and just gets you ready for the day, your workout, whatever it is you're about to take on. Good. And then inhale, let's go ahead and come back into center. Exhale, we're going to go ahead and twist to the right, left hand to the right knee, right hand behind the body on the mat, and then curve your head around into a seated twist. So again, curving that nose around as much as you're able. We're not straining anything here, but we are trying to twist so we really feel that sensation, feel that nice ringing out sensation through the spine here. Again, twist in the neck. Excellent. And then inhale, let's go ahead and come up into center, both arms tall. Exhale, drop the left hand down to your side. Step it about a foot out to the left. And then exhale, lean over to the left, reach through those right fingers, coming into seated side bend. So as we're reaching through those top fingers, we're feeling that nice length through our spine here. We're rooting through that right sit bone, and we're pressing into that left hand. You can always drop down onto the elbow here. That's going to deepen that stretch. You'll really feel it into the top of that hip. But we're also feeling it in the neck here, especially if you kind of start to tip that head down and feel that opening in the side neck space. So noticing where you're at today, just a couple deep breaths here. Good. And then inhale, come up into center, switching hands. So drop that right hand down here and then step it about a foot out to the right. Exhale, let's lean over to the left or right here, reaching through the left fingers, seated side bend. So again, gorgeous side body stretch, culminating in a nice pull through the top of that left hip. We're pressing into our right hand to keep our left sit bone rooted onto the mat. And again, tipping that head down so we feel that nice pull through the side neck here. You can always drop down to the elbow on the right side. It's an option, it's not a requirement. Noticing what feels right for your body here. Taking a couple deep breaths. Great. And then we inhale, come back in the center, reach both of those arms up tall, and then exhale, drop the hands down, roll over the knees or kick your feet out to the side. And let's come into a tabletop position. So our hands come beneath our shoulders, our knees beneath our hips, and then the tops of the feet come onto the floor. We're going to inhale, sink our bellies, lift our head and our hips coming into cow. And then exhale, lift the back, sink the head and the hips coming into cat. Inhale into cow as the belly sinks down, shoulder blades squeeze together. Feel that stretch through the throat here. And then exhale into cat, shoulder blades separate, and then feel that crunching down of the throat and the opening through the back of the neck. Good. Inhale into your nice deep cow. Exhale into your nice high cat. Excellent. And then inhale, let's return to neutral. We're going to come down onto our backs here and we're getting ready for supported shoulder stand. So if you know that you have neck issues, maybe this is not going to be the next best set of practices for you. So I do invite you to be really mindful of that. Feel free to take a child's pose or to hang out on your back and do some reclined twists or just a nice long shavasana here. Find a relaxation, up to you. All right. So we're going to come down onto our backs here. And we're going to make sure that we are nice and firm on our back to begin. We want to make sure we have lots of space to move and that we keep our gaze looking up toward the sky the entire time. Now, a couple options here. If you'd like, you can just start off in this position here, okay? Legs are up. This is kind of like unsupported legs up the wall. You're going to feel some nice benefits of the legs kind of draining out some of that blood. It's a very relaxing posture. Now, if you'd like to make your way into supported shoulder stand, we're going to bring your hands down to either side of the body, and we're going to lower our legs as close as we can to our body. As we do that, we'll start to press into our hands, engage our core, and lift our hips here, and then start to extend those legs up toward the sky. Notice how I bring my hands right to my low back immediately. My hands are now, and the weight is now in my triceps, extending those feet straight up to the sky here, trying to get your back as flat as you can so the weight is in that upper part of the shoulders. It should not strictly be in the head and the neck, but instead it's on that band along the shoulders. But tune into the throat space here. Notice how it's really crunched down. We're opening up the back side of it here as we reach those feet up toward the sky, supporting ourselves with our hands to keep that weight steady. Let's take a couple deep breaths here. Coming out of it whenever you are ready or feel like you need to. But if you're able to hold on for another breath or two, I invite you to do so. Feeling that movement of air through the throat. Good. And then inhale, kind of split the legs, allow your weight to slowly roll down here. Woo, that was great. And then we're going to go ahead and actually come right up into a seated position to come into a counter posture here. Really nice work here if you did that. Shoulder stand is tough, so that's a great one to kind of start to work yourself into. It's balance as well as some great stretching, a lot of mental balance as well. So now we're going to work our way into our fish pose as that counter posture, especially for the throat. So we'll sit up nice and tall. Our feet will be straight out in front of us and they'll be gently flexed here. We're then going to drop down onto the forearms on either side of the body. Now we have a few options. You're welcome to stay right here, lift through the torso, gently turn the gaze upward. Next option is to tip that head back as far as you're able. And again, if you have any neck or shoulder issues, maybe this is not the posture for you, and you are welcome to skip it. Now, if you'd like, you can stay here, or to make your way into the fullest expression, you start to slide those arms forward, really tucking the head back and lowering the crown of your head, the very top of your head down to the mat. Elbows are at an angle now from the shoulders. The weight is in the top of the head and in the glutes. We have a nice open throat, open chest here. And let's take a couple deep breaths here together. Great work. If you are in the full expression, start to press into those elbows, tuck that chin immediately, and then start to press yourself gently up here. Really great work. All right. We're going to come on down to the chest, or down to the back, sorry. Come on down to the back here. And if you need, you can place a block on the low side, kind of up above your head. You're going to see why here in just a moment. So I think I've got about the right spacing here. I'm extending my arm straight up, and it's just right above my head on the low side. So now counter posture to what we just did. We countered, and now we're doing one more. We're going to come into our plow pose. So similar to shoulder stand, hands are down on either side. We're starting off with feet on the floor. Well, then inhale, lift those legs up and start to press into the hands, bringing those legs as far over our bodies as we can here. So you notice I'm lowering my toes down onto that block. Maybe you need the block, maybe you don't. So if you don't, feel free to move it out of the way, either with your toes or your hands. And we're bringing those toes down above the head onto the mat. Now, spike the heels here. You can get a calf stretch if you spike those heels enough toward the top of the mat, or kind of all topsy-turvy right here. Legs are zipped up. And notice once again that throat chakra is closed right down. We're opening up through the back of the throat chakra here in the neck. Our weight is across the shoulders, so we're not in the head and the neck. So make sure that your weight is across the shoulder, the top of the shoulder blades here. Let's take a couple deep breaths. Hands are still down on the mat, either side of the body, palms down. Taking just a couple deep breaths in this position. And this is, I think I mentioned it, but this is plow pose here. It looks like an old-timey plow that someone would use, kind of pushing along with a horse or a donkey to sow the fields. Good. And then when you're ready, allowing yourself to roll one vertebrae at a time, coming back down onto the mat here, allowing those hips to very gently roll back down onto the floor. Great work. And then again, tuck those knees into the chest. Let's wrap the arms around ourselves, give ourselves a little hug. This is our counter posture. Good. And if it feels good for you, you can come into a pause and very gently just roll that head back and forth, releasing the neck here. That was a very big stretch here. You did excellent. Great. And then when you feel ready, just go ahead and drop those soles of the feet down to the floor, and we'll come into final relaxation. So maybe you hang out right here, knees are in little mountains. Maybe the soles of the feet come together, knees go out wide, recline down angle. Maybe you extend one leg and keep the opposite in for fallen tree, or maybe, whoops, you extend both legs, not kicking your props here for traditional final relaxation. Noticing where the arms and the hands want to be. There's not a wrong answer. You're also welcome to come onto your side or on your belly, or you can return to a seated position here if that feels good for you. And just treat this final part of practice like a seated meditation. So as you come back onto the mat and settle into your final relaxation, just take a moment and tune in. Begin to notice how fast or slow your breath is moving. Excuse me. How deep or shallow it is. Notice the quality of each breath on your inhales, the quality of each breath on your exhales. Feel into the gentle rise and fall of the belly. The gentle rise and fall of your chest. Noticing that air as it moves in and out of your nose, up and down your throat. And notice here when the mind wanders off of the breath, see if you can identify that wandering, celebrate that you noticed it, and then come back to the breath, come back to focusing on your inhales and your exhales. If it feels right for you, perhaps reincorporating a mantra to help you stay grounded and focused on the breath. Inhale, I listen deeply. Exhale for vibrations of life. Inhale, I listen deeply. Exhale for vibrations of life. Remaining here with your breath in whatever way best supports you for just a few more moments today. I'm going to get quiet for this final part of practice so you can have it to yourself. Please know that I'm watching the time and I respect yours, and I'll be sure to let you out of this posture before the end of practice. So lean back, let go, and just rest right here. Meditation is not an escape from society. It is a practice that can help us become more firmly rooted in society so that the leaf can nourish the tree. Bringing your awareness back to this space, taking a deep inhale through your nose, filling your belly, lungs, and chest with air. And then slowly exhale that breath back out. Take another deep inhale as you begin to wiggle fingers and toes. Move your arms and legs, gently waking your body up. And when it feels right for you, gently rolling onto one side, pausing there with an arm or a hand beneath your head. It's here that I invite you to bring back to mind your intention or your purpose that you set at the beginning of your practice that answer the question, why did I get on my mat? Take another deep inhale as you make your way on up into a seated position, and we close out our practice together today. So finding your comfortable seat, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, draw the shoulders forward and up. Exhale, drop them back and down. Hands come into a comfortable position, whether on your knees, palms up or down, or in the lap. You can also bring them to heart center and close the eyes if you'd like. We take a moment to express gratitude for yet another lovely day here on earth, and for our bodies to allow us to do so many things, including yoga. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through this practice today. It was a joy and an honor, and I hope to be able to do so again in the future. The light in me, it sees the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute Hatha yoga practice designed to tune you into your throat chakra. This practice concludes the mini series on the throat chakra, and we're now moving into the third eye chakra, so the space right in the forehead here. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow Wild Blue Yonder Media if you enjoyed this practice, and share it with a friend if you know someone who would enjoy doing this kind of yoga or maybe needs to stretch out a little bit. Make sure to check out the Full Body Awakening series on my channel to tune into the rest of the chakras as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you in the next practice. Bye.